High above the dense canopy, there is a place known as the Silent Peak. It's an anomaly, where the jungle's heavy humidity gives way to a thin, cold air that feels disconnected from the world below. At the very edge of this height stands Cheeky. She is a small sparrow, a creature whose entire existence is usually defined by the need to hide from the wind. Yet here she is, standing exposed against the open sky. She isn't there to scavenge or seek shelter. She is there because she has run out of earthly options, and she is looking for a witness to what she has endured. To understand why this tiny bird has climbed so high to challenge the silence, we have to look at the 3-day struggle that broke every rule she was supposed to follow. It began with a storm that the forest's inhabitants knew was unsurmountable. Cheeky's nest, containing her 2 chicks, Chinku and Pinku, was being hammered by freezing rain and gale-force winds. In this environment, the rule is simple: you wait it out or you die. Her neighbor Tony heard the screams of a nearby family when a snake used the cover of the rain to slip into their nest. In the jungle, leaving your shelter during a flood is a death sentence. But Cheeky looked at her starving chicks and made a choice that went against every survival instinct she possessed. She stepped out into the torrent. This was her first break from the natural order. She chose to prioritize her offspring's hunger over her own immediate survival. While searching for grain in the downpour, she was cornered by 2 hunters who rarely share, Kalu the crow and Sultan the eagle. Cheeky was pinned. She lacked the speed to fly away in the wind and the strength to defend herself. By all physical metrics, her journey should have ended here. But desperation sharpened her mind. She didn't fight. She spoke. She told the 2 predators that she was far too valuable a prize for just one of them, and that only the most terrifying hunter had the right to claim her. The ego of the predators did the rest. As the crow and the eagle began to tear at each other to prove their status, Cheeky slipped through the chaos, clutching the wheat she had risked everything to find. Her maternal drive had effectively rewritten her capabilities, turning a target into a strategist who could manipulate the jungle's most dangerous players. Cheeky returned with the food, but the victory was short-lived. The exposure to the freezing rain had triggered something worse than hunger, a deep viral fever in both chicks. Looking at her struggle's data, the odds are staggering. She survived the storm and predators, but the chick's immune collapse pushes survival probability near 0. Cheeky sought Dr. Chintu, the medicine mouse, but physical interventions no longer applied. The doctor's prognosis was final. Their bodies were no longer responding to treatment. Medicine can repair a wing or fight an infection, but it cannot manufacture the will to live. Cheeky had outflown the storm, outsmarted the predators, and followed every medical instruction. Yet she was still losing. It was this realization, that the physical world had failed her, that drove her towards the Silent Peak. Back at the peak, Cheeky stands as a singular point of resistance against the night. She is physically broken and mentally exhausted, yet her presence is unwavering. She isn't asking for the rules to be changed. She is pointing out that she played by them, she won her battles, and the current outcome is a betrayal of the effort she invested. In that silence, something shifts. The ancient tree seems to settle into the earth, and the wind drops to a complete standstill, as if the environment itself is finally acknowledging her weight. This is the moment where maternal devotion stops being a feeling and starts being a physical reality, a presence so heavy and focused that the surrounding world has no choice but to adjust to its existence. When Cheeky flew back down to her nest, the transition was immediate. The fever had broken, and the chicks were awake, their strength returning as if it had never left. Chinku and Pinku look out at the forest now with a different kind of awareness. They are no longer just survivors of a storm. They are the reason a sparrow stood her ground against the sky. The jungle continues to operate on the cold logic of predator and prey. But that cycle met a force that refused to be part of the tally. Cheeky proved that a mother's devotion isn't just a part of nature, it is the force